Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Citizens of Lorcana podcast, a podcast where we invite you to be a part of their world. Today, we are ranking the new legendaries from the Azurite Sea, and after we're done with that, we're going to talk to James all about his Seattle DLC experience. So without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Hey everyone, welcome to another week. Last week, we were able to reveal a new card. Thank you, Ravensburger, for allowing us to do that. We didn't put out a formal long-form podcast, so my apologies. That was me slacking. But today, we wanted to do something fun. You know, Azurite Sea is on the horizon. I see what I did there. and Seattle DLCs are over, so this is just something that's going to be fun. And we did horrible last time we ranked legendaries, but let's see if we get it better this time. You ready for this, James?
I think so. I think we can probably get a few of them right this time. I mean, yeah, I think we can get a few right.
Oh man, I'll never forget the Diablo.
The fiasco.
The Diablo fiasco, yes. Okay. So I know those of you who are listening on podcast can't see this. On YouTube, we have one of those tier rankers up. And as a little hint, our top tier was formerly named, it's normally called S tier, meaning it's like the best tier out there. Formerly, when we did this, it was named the Flounder tier, but man, my boy's in Lorcana now, so I'm renaming it the Oswald tier. So
appropriate.
Here we go. So the next category is probably good. The third category is might see play. The fourth category is probably not good. And the fifth category is Gantu. So, James, you know, we were kind of briefly sort of looking over these legendaries before. I feel like this is going to be tough.
I think we're going to have legitimately multiple ones in the probably good category that actually will see some play.
Yeah, I do too.
But I think we also have a few Gantus in here.
Yeah, there's one or two for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll just start with this in order that I've got here, and we will start with Miss Isma. I'm just going to leave her here until we have decided where we're going to place her. So, James, what do you think of Isma? Or should we read the cards first?
Let's read the cards and then go from there.
Okay. So I have it pulled up here. Isma is a 4-cost inkable, 3 strength, 3 willpower, 2 lore with the ability Exert. If you have fewer than 3 cards in your hand, draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. And James, I feel like this is a trap card for us because Diablo was a legendary that drew cards, and we ranked Diablo kind of low. But
yeah, draw is always good. Draw on a legendary seems to always be good, but it does feel like a trap, doesn't it? It feels like this one maybe is just not, because it's not on questing. It's you have to exert it for the ability. You don't get to just quest and get it, and that's when they're the most powerful. So I think that this card is going to see some play, and I think it's a good card, but I don't think it's a Diablo level card.
Well, here's my thing. It's in Amethyst, which is the king of card draw. If this was a card in Ruby, oh, this would be Oswald tier probably for sure.
Yeah.
But my gut says might see play. What do you think?
Yeah, the best I would put it in is probably good, just because it's card draw, just because it is up to 3 draw every turn as long as it lasts.
So you think it should be in the probably good territory?
I think that's the highest I'd put it. I don't know if I would put it there, but if I was going to put it any higher, that's as high as I'd go. So let's leave it in might see play for now, and we'll ruminate on our choices as we fill it up.
Okay. All right. So next we have my stupid computer here. Next we have the other Amethyst card, which is Genie. Excuse me. So Genie is a 7-cost inkable shift on 5 with the ability your reward awaits. When you play a card, draw a card. Oh, so good. And Forbidden Treasure. At the end of your turn, put all the cards in your hand on the bottom of your deck in any order. I'm just gonna say this. Is there any way that this isn't Oswald tier here?
Yeah, because it gets rid of all your cards every turn.
Okay, but I mean, you get to draw a card the next turn, and if you play that card, you get to draw another one. If you play that card, you get to draw another one.
What if the card you draw is something you can't play?
I mean, this is shift 5 here, so by the time you play this, I mean, worst case, well, not worst case scenario, but you know, potentially you could throw it in ink. So when you get around, okay, well, what's your argument on Genie? Where would you place Genie? Because you're not feeling as high on Genie as I am, apparently.
No, I mean it's. I like that it comes out on 5. I like that it survives because it's a 4/7. So it's got some staying power.
It doesn't die to Medusa.
Right. And shiftable means that you can get some value out of it instantly. I'm just worried that the end of your turn, put all the cards in your hand at the bottom of your deck in any order. I mean, obviously you're not going to play it when you have a hand of like 7 cards, because you're going to be using all of those. So situationally, I think it's a good card, but I don't know if it's going to be an Oswald tier. But it is card draw.
I feel like if there's an aggro type deck, you shift this out on 5, and then you just like play your deck out. I feel like this could be good in that situation.
And I mean, in a Emerald Amethyst deck, if you're low enough on cards, and you have the Clarabelle out as well, then you can get the Clarabelle trigger and then empty your hand and then fill your hand, because of the way the bag works.
Yeah.
So that's a way to make use of it to where you can get a fresh new set of cards every turn up to whatever your opponent is holding. It's just so situational, and it requires so many moving pieces to get the value out of it that it's so expensive, really.
Jeez, you are a Debbie Downer. Okay.
I know. No, it's a good card. I just don't know if it's an Oswald. I think it's probably good. I think it's going to see some play. Someone's probably going to make it work. At worst, it's a might see play card. I don't think it's a bad card. I just don't think it's top tier.
Out of Amethyst, I would take Genie over Isma, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, the Isma is cheaper, but it's that whole needing to exert it in order to use the ability instead of because Genie, you can just quest with it, you can challenge with it, you can sing with it, you can do a lot of things shifting it on and still get the ability at the end of the turn as long as he's still on board.
Wow. Obviously you're the more competitive player here, but dang. I thought this
and
was
I
a
would
really
think
good card.
I would think that also the ability for Genie, when you play a card, I think that Genie counts for himself as well.
I think somebody asked that, and I'm not going to say, but I thought somebody asked that, and the answer was no, but I could be wrong. We'll have to ask Judge Googly. All right. Shall we move on to Amber here?
Let's move on.
So we have Princess Tiana. Okay. All right. So I feel like, okay, let's read this first. 3 cost, uninkable, 1 strength, 4 willpower, 2 lore, but her ability says, special reservation, whenever a character of yours is challenged while this character is exerted, the challenging character gets -3 strength this turn unless their player pays 3 ink. So now your opponent has to decide if they want to pay 3 ink to rush Maui into one of your characters, because this survives a Maui attack if Maui has -3. So how are you feeling about this card?
I like
Obviously
this card.
It dies to Medusa and Brawl.
Yeah, and small Sisu.
Yep,
I mean,
and big Sisu.
So many things can get rid of this card, but it's really good. The ability is really good if you can get it out. I mean, it's a turn 3, so I mean, yeah, Brawl and Small Sisu can take care of it then. But if they don't have that, it's sticking around for a little while. And as soon as it's out and exerted, if you're playing like an aggro deck or anything where you have a bunch of characters you want to just keep questing with or doing or exerting, this is going to protect them. And they're not going to be able to play much because, on turn 4, if they want to challenge in and get the full value of their strength, they're going to have to only be able to spend a 1 cost character and the three costs in order to get their strength back.
Yeah.
So, and each time they want to challenge, they have to spend 3. So they're only going to be able to do it once until they're on turn 6 and have 6 ink likely. And then they'll be able to do it twice.
Yeah, so if they wanted to play Maui and use them at full strength, they'd have to wait until turn 8.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Put 2 of these out, and then they'd have to spend 6 every turn to get. I mean, what's out there that's more than 6 strength? There's very few cards.
Yeah,
we're going to see one a little later, but there's very few cards out there before turn 6 that are more than 6 strength.
So I feel like if you're playing against an opponent that is not running Ruby, this is probably Oswald level. But because Ruby's so prevalent, it's going into the probably good category for me.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, just because of how flimsy it is, how it can be removed easily from multiple things, and I mean, you just need one good plus strength thing in order to get rid of it. So,
yeah,
just like you said, Maui doesn't get it, but you can run 2 things into it if you have to. Or just pay and get rid of it, because this puts such a big target. This gets such a big target once it's out.
It really does. Yeah. I think that this is going to be in. I don't know if a rogue deck is the right term, but it's definitely going to be in one of those decks that has a lot of spice in it. I think somebody's going to make this work, but again, Ruby's the kryptonite of this card here. So
yeah.
Okay, shall we stick with Amber?
Sure.
All right, this boy, I think we're gonna start in Oswald tier. He's probably gonna stay there, but this is Simba, 5 cost, uninkable, 4 strength, 4 willpower, 2 lore, shift 3, with the ability to understand the balance. At the end of your turn, if this character is exerted, you may ready your other characters. And I'm sure this is something that you and I have both picked up on already. But if you have Bernard, or if you have, what's the other one that readies up your character at the end of the turn?
It's Christopher Robin, right?
No. Christopher Robin is like if you have 2 characters ready, when this one readies up, you get 2 lore. But yeah, I guess Christopher Robin could be good. But there's another character that readies up your character at the end of your turn. So they could all ready each other up. Well, what do you think about this card, James?
Well, first of all, the art is amazing.
Yeah.
Kendall Hale did this, who was at the Seattle DLC, and this card is awesome. I also think the ability is awesome. I think that this is going to see some play for sure. Someone's going to try and figure it out. The fact that it can shift out on 3 and immediately be exerted is crazy.
Oh yeah, and being the 5 strength, it can sing. It can sing grab your swords. It can sing. This is a card we'll talk about later, but like friend like me. I mean, there are so many different things that this card coming out, and then when it sings, it exerts itself, and well, obviously you're going to exert it, but it readies up all of your other characters. I don't know. This is just going to be such a. I feel like this has the potential to be a $30 card out of the gate.
And the thing about this is that it is not the same as the other cards that have readied characters before, like Moana, which was so situational and so specific about princesses, but also the fact that it's not doing it immediately when he's exerted. It's just, you go ahead and play your turn and do everything you need to do, and then at the end of your turn, if this is exerted, ready everything. And so it allows you to not have to struggle with sequencing as much as something like the Moana card did, that made you not be able to quest again with your princesses, even if they hadn't quested yet, once you quested with Moana. So I think that I think that this is going to be a pretty amazing card, and I think it should go into Oswald tier, and I hope someone manages to make it work in a meta deck because I think that this is going to be an amazing card.
Man, Amber Mufasa just goes hard. I mean, this is the second legendary Mufasa that's going to be just really good. So,
Simba.
Well,
Simba.
Oh yeah, this is Simba. My bad.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was like, what about Simba? Anyway, yes. Okay. Well, never mind. Like father, like son, I guess here.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. It's basically Mufasa's been the whole time. It's been the Amber Mufasa legendary. It's been the card. So
yeah. All right. Let's move on to a Sapphire, and we are just like I said, we're just going to start out here. I'm pretty sure Mr. Baymax is not staying in Oswald territory, but
nope.
Let's hear this out. 5 cost inkable, 2 strength, 6 willpower with the ability the treatment is working, and 2 lore. When you play this character and whenever he quests, you may remove up to 2 damage from another chosen character of yours. Gain 1 lore for each 1 damage removed this way. I mean, this could work really well if Grandpappy was a deck that worked, but we haven't really seen Grandpappy really anywhere competitively, so I don't know. Yeah.
And it would work if you had, I mean, something like the Rapunzel card out that is whenever you heal, you get to draw.
Yeah.
So you would earn lore and draw, but the 2 strength is very limiting. The fact that it is an ability that you have to you do get it on play, so that's nice, but you get it on quest. So if you're lucky, you get to use it once, probably as a 5 cost, because immediately after turn 5, up here comes turn 6 with all that removal that can get played. So yeah, it's definitely something that I think is it's probably not good is probably the right category.
Well, I think the debate is this probably not good or is this Gantu level? I mean, and when we talk about Gantu level, for those who've been around since the beginning, you understand this reference. But Gantu was a legendary from set 1.
That is horrible.
Such a terrible ability. Has never seen play. I don't even think at locals. We had in our Discord a little challenge called Glorious Gantu, and I think that's the only time that Gantu got any love. So
yeah,
is Baymax that level of bad, James?
I don't think so, because you're earning lore for removing damage, and that free lore is always a good thing. So I don't think it's that horrible, but it is not good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about the other Sapphire here.
And I think put that in the Oswald level and leave it there.
I mean, sorry, James. I am going to pull rank on you here because I'm controlling the stream. But I'm leaving my boy Oswald. I mean, look, I even have an Oswald hat now. My boy Oswald is headed straight into the Oswald.
And we've known this one for a while, but let's go ahead and read it again.
Yeah, okay. So Oswald is 2 cost, uninkable, 2 strength, 1 willpower, 2 lore, with the ability Favorable Chance. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an item card, you may play that item for free, and it enters play exerted. Otherwise, put it on the bottom of your deck. All right.
In an item deck, this is insane.
Insane. Agreed.
Because there is no limitation. There is no, oh, hey, it has to be 4 cost or less, or it has to enter play. Whatever it may be. But I mean, obviously, entering play exerted means you can't use it that turn. But who cares? It's playing an item for free, and you have in an item deck getting things out for free on what is it?
Turn 3, unless
you can do it on turn 1 or turn 2 because you can ink again with something possibly ink again.
Yeah, maybe. It's possible. But yeah, I mean,
probably turn 3.
Getting a lucky dime out turn 3, that'd be crazy.
Yeah. So if this thing lasts turn 3, it's whenever you put something into your inkwell. So, if you sing 1 jump ahead with Oswald, there goes a chance to get something off the top. If you just regularly ink, if you play
Friend like me.
Friend Like Me, you
Ink
get
3 times.
you get to ink 3 times, and that means you get 3 top of your deck cards. If you play the Fishbone and you ink something immediately, and he sings One Shot Ahead again, that's 3 times because you do a regular ink. I mean, you're out of cards at that
Yeah.
point, but you have played items for free probably if you're putting enough items in your deck. So yeah, this thing is going to really affect how people are able to play items and get them out. And I see this like really making an item only deck really, really good.
I mean, if I'm like not being biased, I'd probably put it in the probably good tier, but it's staying in Oswald tier here.
It's a very good card. Yes, it is somewhere between Oswald and probably good.
Yeah. Because item decks were getting scary anyway. This just puts them on the next level.
Yeah, and not just in the legendaries, but Sapphire got so many good cards in Azurite Sea so far that I don't see how Sapphire decks aren't going to be meta decks again. Continue to be decks.
Oh yeah, Sapphire feasted. All right, let's move on to Steel. Okay, so our first one here we have John Silver, 8 cost inkable, 6 strength, 6 willpower. That is a big boy. Shift 5, resist +2, 2 lore with the ability don't just sit there. At the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to each opposing ready character. All right, well, I'll let you take this one away, James. What do you think of John Silver here?
Well, like you said, he is a big boy coming out on turn 5 with basically, well, the resist 2 is insane, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the 6 strength, being able to shift him out, I don't know, man. Just the stats alone are crazy powerful for challenging decks and keeping characters on board and taking stuff out. So just that alone makes him probably in just the lowest he'll go is might see play. I don't see how a character this strong doesn't see play when you have plenty of options to shift John Silver out. So it's just, is this ability deal 1 damage to each opposing ready character? There's your answer to things like Prince John, right?
Yeah.
I mean, immediately, because no one's going to be exerting Prince John. And isn't he a 2/1?
Yeah, I think so.
So, I mean, he's immediately gone the first turn. The next turn after you play this character, he's gone.
Hold on. Let me pull up Prince John just to make sure we're not lying, because he might be a 1/2.
So, I think that it's a...
He's a 1/2.
He's a 1/2? All right, I'll take 2 turns. Whatever.
But still, there are plenty of like 1 strength characters that he'll help with, and really,
like Oswald.
like Oswald. Really, I mean, he takes a long time to get out by turn 5, but I really see John Silver being the backbone of the Emerald Steel Ping deck that, like our good friend Jason Lorcana Thanos was building. If you had this on the board, man, there's just so many ways that you can ping damage on your opponent. So,
and he can take care of anything out there. I mean, he's so beefy. It's like he'll take care of anything.
And with the resist +2, that's just gross.
Yeah, it is. He's a more powerful singing the stout-hearted Cinderella. I mean, that's a 5/5 with 2 resist, and everyone has a real hard issue getting rid of it.
I'm gonna say this one probably sees play. Like, I hesitate putting in the might see play because I feel like this one will see play. So I feel like it's in the probably good territory.
It's just whether or not it makes it into meta decks. I think it's going to see play for sure. Whether it's good enough to make it into meta decks, I'm not sure yet.
Okay, you're right. Let's bump it down to might see play. Okay, and that brings us to our next Steel Legendary, which is Ralph. Okay. So Ralph is a 6 cost uninkable, 4 strength, 4 willpower, 3 lore, with the ability I wreck things. Whenever this character quests, you may banish chosen item or location to gain 2 lore. This is insane. Like, I don't know how you feel about this card, but the fact that he can quest for 3, banish chosen item or location. It could be yours. It could be your opponent's. It could be your neighbors playing next to you. Just teasing. It can't be that. However, like to get you 5 lore and to be outside the range of Medusa and all those cards that we talked about. 6 cost uninkable, non-shiftable. That's the one holdback. But I feel like this is a pretty solid card otherwise.
Yeah, and the fact that again it's on questing, so you have to wait a turn to use it. Now, thankfully, he's a 4/4, so he hopefully will last and survive. But just where he's being played at 6 cost uninkable, I see this one probably, again, this is another one of those that someone's going to try and figure it out, try and get into a deck, something like possibly into a blue steel where they want to have the chance to affect, mirrors and ruby sapphire decks where they want to get rid of the opposing dimes or McDuck Manors if someone's playing those. Being able to get rid of stuff like that, I think, is really good. But yeah, the cost and the on quest is the only thing keeping it from being an Oswald.
I feel like with the cards that we've seen in Azurite C, I feel like items and locations are gonna like, in the past it's been like, I have this item, I have this location, but I feel like this set they're gonna take more of a central role. So I
Yeah.
definitely feel like he lands in the probably good territory.
I think so. Just we'll wait and see how good. We'll just have to wait and see how good he is. I think, yeah, he's somewhere. Again, he's another one in between the probably good and the might see plays.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Princess Jasmine and Emerald here. So this card is in German if you're watching us on YouTube. So I have it pulled up on Mushu Report. She has a 6 cost inkable, 5 strength, 5 willpower. She can shift for 5, and her ability is Ruler of the Seas. When you play this character, if you used shift to play her, return all other exerted characters to their player's hands. Again, you and I just spent a whole set playing Emerald Amethyst. And can you not see all the different potential possibilities with this card?
It's a really awesome card that is held back just by the shift ability. The fact that you have to shift it in order to make use of it. That's the only drawback, because you can play Morph, but if you play a Jasmine, and that's 3 cost Jasmine that was also in this set, is a pretty good card as well. But you play that Jasmine, and you're telegraphing what's happening, on turn 5, because they know that you're going to want to play this to board clear, essentially, to board bounce. And so it's a really good ability. She's got really good stats. Questing for 2, of course, immediately as soon as you play her, or singing something up to a 6 cost. This is a crazy card that you hope you can shift. That's all there is to it, is you hope you can get the shift. And hoping to be able to get the shift makes it to where I think you have to put it in the probably good, not the top tier. Because I think it's an amazing ability. It's under the sea, basically, without having to worry about the strength of the characters, and it's on a body instead of on a cost song.
Boy, just hearing you say that, like I've been hearing people say Morph is a card that's only going to get better with time, and you're right.
So true.
You're exactly right. If you play Baby Jasmine, you're letting your opponent know to not exert their characters. But even still, like if you are playing Amethyst and you have Goat, Rabbit, whatever out, it could still benefit you that way. But the real power in Jasmine is definitely sending your opponent's characters back. And when paired with, I forget the name of the card, but the Maleficent Staff.
Yes.
You can gain 1 lore for every, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the Maleficent Staff.
This could be really good.
Yep.
Could be really good. But
and if it wasn't so expensive, I mean, the magical Christmas land, of course, is having the Genie that keeps things exerted, the Anna that exerts everything, and then this to bounce it all back.
Oh boy.
That's a lot of ink you would need for that, or 3 turns.
That is a magical Christmas land.
Yeah. But I mean, they put so many tools for things in, but this I think is the best tool for board bouncing the entire board. Like I said, as long as they're exerted, which most people are going to be exerting stuff because they need to challenge or quest or sing, and so very, very few things are just going to sit on the board and not be exerted.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about our next Emerald card here. We have Baby Hercules. Okay. So, Baby Hercules is a 6 cost, uninkable, 6 strength, 3 willpower, 2 lore, has the ability of ward, and has the ability strong like his dad. You can pay 3 ink and deal 1 damage to chosen damaged character. James, do we have our first Gantu tier here?
I think so. It's uninkable, which is horrible. It doesn't have. It has ward, which is okay. It's good. But it only has 3 willpower with 2 lore, and the ability that it has to be a damaged character, and you pay 3 ink to do it. So you have to wait a turn to use it if you play it out on turn 6.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem. It just doesn't seem at all like it's going to be a worthwhile card to play.
This is going to be your $2 legendary here. The only scenario where I can see this making sense. Okay, I mean, if you're playing with John Silver, maybe, but if you have the relentless beast that readies up every time a character is damaged.
Yeah.
If you have him on board and then you're able to ping damage with Baby Hercules, you can rack up a lot of lore really fast. But
there's way cheaper ways to do it. Way cheaper.
Yeah, okay. I'm dropping Baby Hercules down to Gantu.
All the way down to Gantu. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Hercules. Now, this card is probably going to be really fun in a Hercules deck because you have cards like the Hera card that protects Hercules and Zeus's. So, but this one already has ward. So, I mean, I think it gains evasive possibly from Hera. But yeah, it's not a good card.
And there's really not much else to say about that. So let's move on to our final ink, which is Ruby. And our first contender here is Hades, uncle to Hercules. Hades is a 5 cost uninkable, 4 strength, 3 willpower, 1 lore, with the ability, what are you gonna do? You exert, you pay 3 ink, you banish one of your characters, banish chosen character. So
this is just Glimmer versus Glimmer on a body, right?
It really is. Yeah.
And more expensive? Way more expensive.
Glimmer versus Glimmer is 4 cost, but he's 5, and then you have to pay 3 ink to use it once.
And exert him, so you can't even use him for a turn. And he doesn't have evasive reward. So
like I don't feel like he's Gantu tier, but definitely in the probably not good tier.
I mean, I would have no problem putting him in Gantu. I don't think it's going to see play. So? Yeah, it's too expensive, slow, and too expensive in too many ways. To banish one of yours, to banish one of theirs.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, you convinced me. You convinced me.
Sad because both of the Hercules franchise cards are in the Gantu level. But the final card totally makes up for it in the Ruby this time because
oh my gosh,
this card is insane.
This card is crazy. Okay, so the last card we have, our last legendary is on Ruby. It's Maui, half shark. Cost 6 inkable, 7 strength, 5 willpower, has evasive, has the ability Chihoo. Whenever this character challenges another character, you may return an action card from your discard to your hand. And another ability, Wayfinding. Whenever you play an action, gain 1 lore. Oh my gosh. Is this card busted or what?
It's beyond busted. It costs 1 more than the current Maui and does so much more.
I mean, but he doesn't have rush.
It does. Okay, no rush. Big deal. 4 other things it does. Or has than for 1 more cost than the other Maui. It has evasive. It has the ability to get you an action back. It has the ability to earn you a lore, and it has lore, so it can actually quest. unlike the 6/5 Maui. So I mean, it's crazy. It's definitely Oswald level. This card is going into Ruby Amethyst decks immediately.
Oh yeah. I mean, you like your be prepared? How about having 8 copies? I mean, you like a whole new world? Again, 8 copies, because this card can bring it back to your hand.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It really is
crazy. And I mean that makes all of those actions where if you do need to make some room for other cards, you can play 2 or 3 of them instead of 4, because then you can get some of them back.
In fact, this card is so crazy. He's going to the top of the Oswald category here.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, he's definitely going to be a $30 card. Simba will probably be in the $25, $30 range. Like these, I feel like these are going to be your money cards, and I feel pretty confident about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Oswald's probably going to be up there as well. And then, yeah, the rest, I mean, it just depends on if someone figures out and wins a big tournament with one of those other ones. But I don't foresee any of those. Most of those other ones are not even going to be over $10 for sure. And most might not even be over $5.
Yeah, definitely not these ones here.
No.
Baymax, Hercules, and Hades.
Yeah. So I think that's, I don't think we did as bad as the Diablo time. I think we did okay.
We should go back and look at the other picks, because the Diablo is the only one that really stands out in my mind.
I think we put the Singer Cinderella up in like the 2nd tier, which was because that one never sees play. That's a Gantu tier. Unfortunately, it is. But
oh man, we were so young and naive. All right, so what do you guys think? How do you feel about our list? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Where would you put some of these characters? Do you think Hercules and Hades are really, Gantu level bad? Tell us your thoughts in the comments down below, or we can have this conversation on Twitter. So,
and some people may be like okay, the Maui and the Simba, okay, that's right. And then just move everything else down to Gantu because they're just not going to see enough play, right? It's like, if it doesn't see play in a meta deck, does it really matter if it's like seeing play in some decks? Because it just doesn't matter at that point because it's not in a meta deck. So that's what some people. So some of these, I mean, the probably good cards like the Wreck-It Ralph, it may see some play here and there. It may show up like as a 1 of or a 2 of in some decks. But if it's still a good card, right? But if it doesn't see play, does that even matter? If it's not in a meta deck, that means it's gone to level because no one's playing it.
Oh, James, you come in hard and fast with your logic here.
It's getting used to it. I mean, yeah, we're new to TCGs, but hey, we've been in the world now for a couple years, and we're getting used to some of this stuff, and some things are seeping into the brain. Some of the stuff.
All right, so talking about being around the block for a year now, let's talk about the Seattle DLC.
Yes.
James, you just got back this week from the Seattle DLC.
Yep.
You got yourself a shiny new playmat.
I did.
Tell us all about your experience, man.
It's this one right here. Look at
that. For those who are listening on the podcast, James is holding up a Disney Lorcana Challenge Cinderella shiny, sparkly, gorgeous playmat.
Yeah, that was fun to get. Finally, it took. I mean, we went to Atlanta and stared at it from afar, and then we went to Vegas, and our buddy Eric from the Gamer, he had a genius idea, which was, hey, why don't we combine tickets here, and one of us gets the playmat, and then we'll combine tickets since we're both going to Seattle, and the other one will get it.
So did you guys like rock, paper, scissors? Who got it in Vegas? How did that work
out? Just as we were combining all the tickets, once we added them all up and we had 90 on Sunday morning, I handed them all to him and said, go get your mat. And then we went and got mine on Sunday morning this time. It's just that's how it worked out. It was his idea, so I let him go first.
That's how you do it. Have a travel buddy.
Yep. Or a partner or a friend group where you guys split all the tickets and share. However it may work, the 90 tickets, unless you win one of the competitive side events or you decide to spend $400 on pack rushes or whatever is needed. I don't know, $600 on pack rushes. Besides, all of the tickets you get, do well enough in the main event if you're competing to get the 20 tickets there. I mean, it's what you had to do if you want to get it. And we actually did well enough where we played a few sealed events. I played 2 and he played 1. And we did just well enough to also get the challenge t-shirts, one each for us. So splitting tickets is where it's at. I mean, it was very helpful to get the things that we wanted. We didn't get everything. I still want a hat, even though I'll never wear it. I still want it.
Of course, that's the collector in you.
Yeah. So no, it was fun. I had a great time. The DLCs have all been really awesome. Just so much fun. I played Pack Rush again against one of the devs, and that was great. I won this time.
Okay, so nice. So you've been to 3 DLCs now. You went to the first one, Atlanta.
Yep.
You went to Vegas, and you've been to Seattle now, the last one. So tell us kind of what the progression of those 3 DLCs were like.
So I think the main progression is that Ravensburger and PPG have learned from event to event what is working and what is not, and have made decisions on the fly from one month to the next to make the events better. The only issue I had in Seattle was, and we don't know why, but there was some pretty long gaps between rounds of the main event. One of them went like 40 minutes. And that wasn't lunch. We still had a lunch, and this was like, between round like 5 and 6 or 6 and 7. And at that point in the day, so tired. I mean, I was sitting there at a table just waiting for the round and just like nodding off sitting there because it was taking so long. There was a 15 to 20 minute gap, I think, between every round minimum. Jeez. It was not good. And it could have been that there were just some games that went to turns and the people were just taking an exorbitant amount of time to take each of those turns. It could have been that the what do they call it? The featured games that they were doing for the cameras, that they started them late enough that they ran a little late, and then those may have gone to turns or something. I don't know. I have no clue what the problem was. I didn't hear any rumors or anything about what it was, so I have no clue. It was just dragging the night on. I don't think it was almost like Atlanta, where I think Atlanta went until after 9 o'clock. It was almost that bad.
Wow.
So that was the only thing that really went wrong. And it wasn't really wrong. It was annoying.
So what about the crowd there? I mean, the enthusiasm, the excitement of being there at Atlanta, the first DLC versus Seattle. Was the excitement still there?
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, we've done this before.
No. People are still, everyone is still having a good time. I mean, I sat down on Friday for the first chapter sealed, and that thing was packed. There was like, the thing sold out at like 256 people, and everybody showed up. And
I believe it.
When someone pulls an enchanted, there's a scream, and then everyone's like, "What is it?" And they hold it up, and everyone cheers and yells, and that was fun. You could always see side events going on. The main event, it felt fun. I mean, I had a good time again. I was doing okay. I was never doing great. I did way better than I did in Vegas, so that was nice. But every opponent was nice as usual, as I've come to expect, where everybody is nice and talks to you, and even the fairly competitive people were not, hyper competitive, kind of, jerks. There didn't face any of those. It was really nice. So I just feel like it's just a great environment to play games in.
So tell us about your record, man. How'd you do? How many points did you get?
I got 32 points. I was technically in contention for day 2 and the Let It Go again until round 7. So I made it to round 7 before I was knocked out, and that was round 7 was my only. Was it my only one or my second one? Of a No, I think it was my only loss. My only 0-2 for the day was against a blue steel deck, and it was like, yeah, he killed me. I mean, it was so bad. I was going to win, and he only had like 5 lore, and of course, you know what Sapphire can do, and he had so much ink, and he was able to play. He was able to play his dime. He already had a Tamatoa out. He was able to play his dime, quest with the Tamatoa, play another item, ink another thing. I mean, it was crazy, and he got the 15 lore on one turn.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it was crazy. And then on the second game, he just slowly just whittled me down and beat me. It was the same kind of thing, you know. I was trying everything I could. I was playing Emerald Amethyst. It was the aggro, the aggro-ish version. Our spice that we put in testing, that we figured out was a surprise, and also a good card that most people were not using was Bell, the 5-drop that he can move damage on play. That's a surprising card that can change the tempo of the entire board when it comes out.
So did you find it? I mean, because it's that way in theory, but did you find that in practice when you were there? Did it swing games in your favor?
It swung a couple of games, yeah. Yeah, it did its job. It didn't do it often, but it did it enough because we were only playing 2 of them.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like our whole thing. We had, of course, 4 of almost everything else that you would expect to see in the Emerald Amethyst deck. And I think one thing I'm particularly proud of is I faced 2 Steel Songs in the day, which is one of my worst matchups, and I won and won them both.
Nice.
Yeah, and in one set, I think it was in round 5. In one set that I won one and lost one, I didn't see the 2-drop Ursula ever in both games. Somehow, despite in one of those games, I mulliganed 7. And yet I never saw the 2-drop Ursula, and yet I still managed to win one of them. So I was pretty proud of how I played that in order to win that game. So I felt like I did. I think it felt like I was playing well all day. I didn't feel like I made any huge, really bad mistakes. I do remember making one mistake, but it wasn't a mistake that like cost me a game or anything. It was just a dumb thing. I played an Elsa, the 5-drop Elsa, exerted something, and then used another character to challenge. When I should have challenged with the Elsa, because I was like, I need to do this, and then I had like 3 characters out then, and I'm like, and I just one of those things where you're just not thinking, you're not taking the time to think it through, and I just was like, I don't know why I did it, but yeah, and I shouldn't have done that. Of course, I should have challenged with the Elsa.
Yeah, I may have done that before. What do you think of the meta? Was it very different from Vegas? Was it pretty similar?
It was so weird because if you look at the breakdown that they posted, Emerald Amethyst is in the 5% other, which means there's less than 3% of the field was Emerald Amethyst. And I thought it was going to be close to the same. And I know other people did too. Other people thought it was going to be up there close to what it was in Vegas, which was like 8%.
Right.
But yeah, Emerald Steel took most of I think took a lot of the Emerald players shifted over to Emerald Steel instead of Emerald Amethyst. And there was a lot of that. There was a lot of, as you would expect, there was a lot of Sapphire Ruby, Ruby Amethyst, Steel Song, Blue Steel made a comeback a bit. So, and of course, Hyper Aggro, which again, the very first round I had, I hit a Hyper Aggro, and I 2-0'd him, which was crazy. I don't know how, because I think he got up to 18 or 19 lore each game. So it was just one of those things where it was just so close. And so I faced a lot. I actually did not face a single Emerald Steel all day, which is
weird. That's kind of nice because those games are slogs.
Yeah.
The mirror match.
And the final two games, I was at 26 points, I think. Yeah, it was 26 points after round 7 when I went 0-2. So I just intentionally drew the final two games, the final two matches to get up to 32 points because, you sit down and everyone's like, why do we need to play this out? If we both draw, then we both get up to 30 points. It's like, why are we going to stress about it? None of us were in contention at that point for Let It Go. So why would you try and knock someone out of a chance to get the 30 points just like you? So we all intentionally drew.
Good.
And then like in the last two rounds, I had intentionally drew and then walked over to where Eric was playing because he was still in contention. He was in contention for day 2 up until round 8. And unfortunately, I think he went 1-1. So then in the final round, he was in contention for a Let It Go.
Yeah.
And didn't make it.
Oh, heartbreaking.
Yeah. And I watched it and it was brutal because he did get matched up in that final round against an Emerald Steel and it was brutal.
So did you intentionally draw and then just not play the games out?
No, didn't play any games. Just took a break. I mean, it was already 7:30, at that point at night. We've been there for almost 12 hours at that point. Yeah. Some of us got there at 7, 8 in the morning.
Yeah, that's a long day.
Yeah. So
I mean, put a bow on the DLC season. Like, what did you like? What did you not like? What do you hope going forward? And I want you to especially touch on the 2-game format.
So having played in Atlanta, it's a little frustrating not having those competitor tickets for that first event that you got for competing, and then they changed it immediately for the very next event. That was a little frustrating, but I mean, it's like I understand that it's learning curve. They realized that there were how many people, 1,900 people, or no, sorry, some people got to Let It Go. So 1,850 people with nothing to show for the day that they spent playing games.
That would suck. Suck.
So those people, I mean, obviously we all got a Dragonfire, but yeah, give us a little something more. And I think they figured that out. And so the tickets were a good thing. I think the tickets need to change because there's that gap from getting your 20 tickets when you get 30 points all the way up to the Let It Go is 44 points, 43 points typically. And 43, that's 13-point gap where someone can do really well and lose one game in the last few rounds that knocks them out of the Let It Go and have like 41 points and not get it. So I think there needs to be either another level at 40 points or there needs to be a change where they're giving away, starting at 10 points, they're giving away like a ticket per point. Something like that, where everyone is getting a certain amount or, a ticket every, what would it be? I don't know. Something different to reward those people that are reaching a higher level, but still not quite hitting the day 2 level, but are doing much better than what 600 or 700 people are doing. Because I was like 575th at my record, and I was kind of like middle of the pack, I think. So there's got to be at least, I would think, a few hundred more people. So maybe, like I said, like 600, 700, 800 people get 30 points and therefore get those tickets. And then how many of them got 41 or 42 points and were just this close to getting a Let It Go? So it's something like that. I think that needs to be looked into. The 2-game format is definitely, I've seen the talk about the frustration of the later rounds becoming best of ones, essentially, because as what happened with Eric, if in that final round, if he loses, he's out of Let It Go contention. And if they play game 2 and he wins, he knocks his opponent out of contention for the Let It Go, which is a feel bad for both of them. And something, so basically, as soon as, he sat down, played the game, and as soon as the game was over, he just conceded the final game because he didn't want his opponent to miss out as well as him. So what can you do? So what they've effectively done with the best of 2 later in the matches is they've made it best of ones, because the second game, unless you play it out and everybody loses, it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
And that's a problem because you can't ask for a concession, and there you can't make gentlemen's agreements that whoever wins the first game will concede, or loses the first game will concede. You can't make that agreement. You can't talk about it. You can't say anything, or else, if someone hears who feels like it next to you, they can call a judge on you, and you can get disqualified immediately right there.
Wow.
So the whole fact that this is a thing, I think, is one of the main issues that is going to have to get looked at for the 2-game format. And a lot of people have pointed out that it's that bonus point really that's causing the problem.
That makes sense.
So if they get rid of the bonus point, I saw something, I think it was on Twitter or somewhere today, about a suggestion of how they can run the points using just 1 point per win and having more rounds of Swiss to just keep eliminating people, and only certain people with certain amount of points make it in. There's ways to do it, and I think it's something that they really need to look at in the offseason. And since we did have Ryan on earlier a couple of months ago, and he did say that the 2-game format is not written in stone, I think that's something that they are doing, is looking at it, and it's not set in stone. It's not something that is going to be this way all the time, every time.
Yeah. No, I mean, I hadn't even considered that. I mean, when I was in Vegas, I had told, so my last opponent, one of us needed to go 2-0 to get to 30 points. And I had the same thought. I was like, if I lose my first game, I'm just going to concede because there's no point.
Yeah. I didn't say anything. Same thing with me. I was at 23 points. I needed to win. I sat down. I played the game. As soon as I lost, I'm like, okay, you get game 2. Nothing was said between us. We didn't do a wink, wink, nudge, nudge or anything. We just sat down and played, and then I conceded the game 2 once I lost.
That does create an interesting dynamic.
And so it felt bad because I would have liked to have played for something, but there was nothing to play for at that point.
Okay, and changing gears too, something I saw on Twitter was this talk about not being able to use dice on your hand. Like if you put your hand on the table, you are unable to place your die on it because it counts as note taking. Well, what was the scuttlebutt on that?
Honestly, people were doing that in the games I played, and no one stopped them. So if they were stopping people, it didn't happen where I was playing. Not very many did, and I have started using ink tokens, where I've put, I don't know if I have it sitting here with me, but I've taken the new sleeves that have the card back on the sleeve, and I put art cards in I put the art cards in there, and I have like 20 of them in my deck box, and I'll use those as ink tokens. So when I ink, I show them the ink like normal. I put it off to the side. I pull out an ink token. So now I can set down my hand and fan it out so they can see how many cards just by them sitting there, and I don't get it confused with my ink. And yeah, it takes a little bit of extra time, and every time at the end of a game, I have to pick it up, and I have to pick up my inked cards from over off to the side and check and make sure they're all in the right direction. So there's a little bit of extra work to do, but during the game, I have no stress about which is my hand or my ink at all. And so it for me, it's not going to bother me at all with the whole dice thing, because I just set my hand down and fan it out.
So now going forward, obviously we got nationals coming up. Neither you or I qualified. I have a feeling you're going to do the last chance qualifier.
If I get a ticket, I am 100% doing it.
But where do you go from here? Are you going to, because you went pretty hard this competitive season.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself going to 3 DLCs every year? Like,
no, I mean, unless I feel like I have progressed to a level where I feel like I can be successful more regularly, which obviously is very difficult to do. I mean, you look at people that were good players and went to 6 DLCs and never made a top cut, but they were like at 40 points on average over the 6, and yet they never made day 2. It's crazy. Yeah. So I would have to feel like I am doing that well. Now, I have very much enjoyed going to them, so any of them that are within driving distance, I'm 100% going to be there. Like, no doubt about it. I will drive to any DLC that's within reasonable driving distance, because I just have so much fun going to them.
Yeah.
And then at this point, I think I still will be fairly competitive. I'm still going to do set champs. But I want to refocus, because what I've been doing, obviously we've been doing like, taking decks and testing and doing a little bit here and there, but mostly what we've been doing is taking existing decks and kind of just playing them and fitting them into our style and trying some things out and putting in some like little bit of flavor and stuff that we figure that fits for us. But I want to sit down and try my hand at actual deck building and start from a blank slate and try and figure something out that I think would be at the very least marginally competitive.
Well, now that you're not a rookie anymore, like spread your wings a bit.
Yeah, I hope that it's something that I can do. I want to give it a try. And this new set has a lot of fun, interesting stuff that I think it's time, with enough cards. Now that we have, how many cards do we have now? 1,200 something cards.
That's crazy.
So we have almost, I think it's about 200 cards in every ink color now.
Yeah. Yep.
So with that, it just feels like it's a good time to try that out and see how I do.
Okay. All right. Well, I look forward to it. So one final question. You and we were having a conversation with another competitive player, content creator, Ducky. And one of the things that he was saying is that one of these things about DLCs is that for the casual fan, for the casual player, it can kind of maybe be a feel bad experience to come in and be rolled by these super competitive players. And to a certain degree, I can resonate with that because I have never gotten in competitively like you have. I've had moments, I've had like bursts of flames where I'm just like, yeah, I'm all in. But for the most part, I've just been super casual. And yeah, I understand what he's saying. When you go against somebody that's just like when I played against Zan, I had no chance. I just got rolled. So what do you say to that? And how, is there a problem with the DLCs and the casual players, or is there a better way for Ravensburger to reach out to the social players?
I think that's definitely something that needs to be on their agenda, which I think the Lorcana quest coming to the Continentals at Disneyland in Paris, I think that's something that's going to start hopefully helping to answer that. But I think we need a multiplayer format that encourages players to not play meta decks and not play decks that are like specifically built to steamroll through multiplayer, to where they're more fun and thematic and Disney. I think Pack Rush is an absolute gem of a small game version that casual players should be encouraged to try and do, because it is fun and it's short and it does not, just like any other limited kind of format, but it's not as daunting as other limited formats. It's fast, convenient. It just requires you to have 2 packs. I think that's something that hopefully will entice a lot more people to play. And yeah, I think that just they need to institute some kind of so here's the problem. Everything at the DLC is competitive because you're trying to get tickets.
Yeah.
So that's part of the issue. So adding the quests where instead of competing by sitting down and playing card games, you're doing other things like getting pictures in front of every banner, or getting a signature from a game dev, or something that requires you to just go about having fun at the event. I think that's something that's going to help encourage casual players. But for gameplay itself, I think they need to structure some non-competitive stuff, or some things where everybody gets the same prize for sitting down and playing.
Yeah. I love the store where I go play, my local game store. But I would love if once or twice a month we had a week where it was like the popper format or the franchise format, or something that makes you do something that's not meta, something that's not core constructed.
Right. Singleton.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, occasionally we have draft, but I mean, and then draft is fun. Like I'm not trying to bash draft at all, but it would be fun to build a deck that has, my Disney, my Mickey and Pals friends deck, or
Right.
like a Lion King deck. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah. I think that needs to definitely be enhanced more to the casual, I think the social people, because Disney, there's so many people who are in this because it's Disney characters. Disney, they're a fan. I mean, we all have a certain love of Disney for the most part. I mean, most of the people playing this game have certain thing that they love about Disney, or just Disney as a whole. They're just like Disney fans, but there's always something. Like for me, of course, it's Frozen. It's Goofy. There's a few things that I just love more than the other Disney stuff. And so being able to bring that thing that you love specifically into Lorcana and playing something that just shows that, I think is something that definitely needs to happen, needs to be put to the forefront so that the casual and social, more casual and social people have something to do, that while the competitive people are off like destroying each other with their meta decks.
All right. What do you guys think about the DLC season? What was your experience? Highlight, low light? What would you like to see change? What would you like to see like carried on? And how do you think Ravensburger can better cater to the social gamers? So, James, do we have any endings? Is there any news that we have? I mean, set 6 for the most part has mostly been revealed by this point.
We can go over like 50 different cards if you want.
Pass.
There's some spicy stuff coming in this set. I love it. There's so many interesting cards and fun cards, and there's some good cards and there's some horrible cards. But yeah, I think we're gonna have some fun with this set.
Yeah,
but that's basically all. I don't know if there's any other news. Is there any other news? I know one piece of news. They announced that the Ultra Pro high end binder and deck box are delayed till set 7.
Oh, okay.
So you will not be seeing them in stores for another 3 months.
Honestly, though, where does it have a place to carry your dice?
You know what? It still looks awesome. I'll still get it. It still
of course you will. Yeah, and I guess it's just like a personal note. I know some of you have been making comments like, are you guys not making regular podcasts anymore? I've kind of hit like a brick wall here. And so we're trying to figure out different ways to keep the podcast fresh and exciting to do. And we've enjoyed all of our guests. We've enjoyed everything we've talked about. This is just a me thing. So we're trying to figure out things to freshen it up here. So yes, we're still around podcasting. We're just trying to figure out what exactly we're going to do going forward.
Yeah, and we'll announce it if anything changes. But if we skip a week here and there, it's because we got busy. Like, it was a busy month this month with all the things that were happening. The set champs, the Seattle. We did both Vegas and Seattle in the space of like 5 weeks. I think it was 4 weeks, whatever it was. So in between that, all the set champs. So we were really busy. It was it was tough to get everything scheduled. But no, we'll make announcements if anything changes. But for now, we're doing podcasts. We'll be here. I mean, we're still having fun. So let's keep it going. We'll do what we do.
So if you liked what you heard, you can follow us on YouTube. You can subscribe to us on the podcasting platform of your choice. You can find me on Twitter at Citizens of Lorcana. And James, where can they find you?
You can find me everywhere online at Dan Regal. And thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time.